This video is probably long overdue, but it is way past time that you should stop stacking this metal. I'll explain what metal it is and explain why as we explore. Now, you can probably guess what metal it is. There's a lot of metals you shouldn't stack, by the way, and there's a lot of precious metals you shouldn't really stack. Although for me, I'm more of a collector than a stacker, so that's my excuse and I'm sticking with it. But nonetheless, I have actually amassed a stack of this metal. It's not rhodium, just so you understand. I've done a lot of videos on rhodium and have probably explain more times than I can think about as to why I didn't sell at the all-time high. I've pretty much gloated about it, by the way. And to a lesser extent, that's the case with this metal as well, too. However, there is a little bit of regret because there are some pieces that I have that are duplicates that I spent very little money on. I'm talking about well under $300 an ounce for this metal when it went to $3,000 an ounce. In fact, I've even shown my full stack of this metal, and that metal is indeed palladium. Yep, that's right. Palladium is a metal you should not be stacking now. And by the way, we shouldn't have been stacking it when it was at its all-time high either. But timing the market is a very tough thing. And these type of metals, the platinum group metals, are what I refer to as fringe precious metals, in so much that when we think of precious metals, we think about them as wealth preserving devices. But in reality, platinum, like palladium, or palladium, like platinum, and rhodium, and iridium, and osmium, well, they're on the fringe. Platinum less so because it's more recognized. It is probably the safest of the platinum group metals, and I am actually bullish on platinum and bearish on palladium. Now, these are just my thoughts, my opinions, but in part, I've got somebody to kind of back me up on this, Patrick Heller, and we're going to be talking a little about price, at least to some degree, but the price fluctuates and it can vary wildly. So these are just estimates of kind of where it was. But when you think about palladium nowadays, the most popular bullion coin out there is going to be the Eagle, the Palladium Eagle. And that's what this is here. In fact, I'll put it down here so you can see what it looks like. That's the proof version. And this is an uncirculated collector version. But I also have the very first ever bullion version that was released in 2017. But let's take a look at these coins as we discuss what this is about. The Mint began selling the Palladium Eagles, in 2017. And last year, in 2022, the total sales, including all of the versions of the Palladium Eagle, exceeded 50,000 coins. Now, the spot price of palladium peaked at almost $3,000 in about May of 2021 and again in March of 2022. Since the most recent peak, the price has tumbled almost 60%. And in fact, last month, it got down to near $1,200 an ounce. Now, we know that most of the platinum group metals are used as catalysts of some sort. In fact, palladium is used mostly in car and truck catalytic converters. This accounts for more than 50% of all palladium consumption globally. In general, it used to take 2 ounces of palladium in catalytic converters to perform the same function as 1 ounce of platinum. In years past, though, when palladium's price was much lower than platinum, vehicle manufacturers stopped using only platinum in catalytic converters to instead use lower-cost palladium. Unfortunately, the increased industrial usage of palladium led to soaring prices. About 40% of global palladium mining output comes from Russia, where the mining infrastructure is outdated and in poor condition. And we know what else is going on as well, too. Sanctions against Russia as well, too. And it takes up to 10 years to develop a newly discovered potential mine site into a producing mine. Higher palladium prices simply do not lead to a quick surge in mine output. The car and truck industry is now in the middle of a multi-year conversion to reduce or eliminate the use of palladium and catalytic converters to again use less costly platinum. And folks, I've been talking about this for a number of years, and it's one of the main reasons why I have been accumulating more platinum and more bullish on platinum overall. The decline in industrial demand has led to the price of palladium now to plummet. At the same time, that increased industrial demand for platinum pushed its price up more than 50% from its 2020 low, which I was fortunate enough to be able to buy some platinum during that year. I kind of wish I would have bought more, but hindsight is now 2020, literally. For the past 2 years, palladium owners were urged to liquidate their holdings of this metal. In fact, I've even said that, hey, it may not be a good time to buy palladium and it's all-time high, but I've never really urged you to sell. But nonetheless, it may have been a good idea to do at the time. But the thing is that, I think any advice given by anybody should be well-researched and decided upon what you do, not by what somebody says on a YouTube channel. But fascinating to see how this is kind of taken a corner now. We may see platinum overtake palladium again. U.S. Palladium Eagle prices have fallen as well, by the way, in the past 16 months, but they have not fallen as much as spot price. In other words, the premiums are incredibly high on them. And now we're seeing the coins, the palladium coins, still go for about $2,000 a pop, even though the palladium price has dropped well below $1,300. So would not be surprised to see the spot price of palladium fall again even more, and it may even fall below platinum by the end of this year. And that's what Patrick Keller thinks over at Numismatic News. We'll see. But it's fascinating. The limited number of people interested in owning palladium in either bar or coin form will no longer be willing to pay a high premium for Palladium Eagles as they were trading today, at this point. Therefore, to minimize further potential loss, owners of Palladium Eagles may wish to sell them soon, because sooner or later that bottom is going to drop out and people aren't just going to want the metal. In fact, it is a rare precious metal, and that being said, it's probably only a matter of time before we see palladium, they may not mint Palladium Eagles for a couple of years if the demand is so low on them. But it is fascinating. It is interesting to see how this is all playing out. I have these pieces mainly as collector pieces, and because I like different metals. That's why the channel is called Salivate Metal. And I don't just stack them. I have them as part of a collection. In fact, these are 2 of the 3 coins that I really want. I want to get a 2019 reverse proof Palladium Eagle. That's the only one I need to complete the collection, because what they do, the United States Mint, by law, is authorized for collector versions to be able to produce alternating finishes. And so far, it is alternated between proof, reverse proof, and uncirculated here. And so the reverse proof is the only one that I need. And I think if I can get that one, then until they come up with a different finish for the collector version, like an enhanced uncirculated or an enhanced reverse proof, well, I'm just going to stick with those 3. And I might just stick with those 3 just in order to have for the collection. But if anybody knows where I can find a 2019 reverse proof Palladium Eagle for cheap, on the cheap, let me know, because I might be interested just to complete the collection. But nonetheless, I wouldn't stack palladium at this point in time. I think it's kind of wise advice, and in reality, probably because of the premiums are still fairly high on palladium coins and bars, it may be a good time to sell. So we'll see. In fact, who knows? But there you go. It's fascinating indeed. But what are your thoughts about palladium compared to platinum? Now, one other little interesting note about palladium that I think you'll find fascinating. These Palladium Eagles are high relief. You can see the concave nature and the details pop out. I love the look of them. I think they're really cool. Great design. Palladium has a density halfway between that of gold and or platinum. Platinum, though, is more dense than gold, and silver. So it's kind of interesting and fascinating to see the difference in in the density of the metal. And the only reason why it appears kind of thick on this piece here is because it is high relief. So it's a little smaller diameter to really get the features to kind of pop out on them. And I was actually surprised, considering that palladium is a hard metal. It is not as dense and hard as platinum, but to be able to pop out a high relief coin is pretty nice. I'm glad they've done it. I love the design. It is the newest of the Eagles out there, so it's kind of neat to have. But so let me know what your thoughts are on palladium, and do you have some, and would you consider selling it, and or are you going to keep it because you're a collector, kind of like me? Let me know, and I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to all of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please like this video, share it with others, comment, and subscribe.